Are you a carer for your mum or your dad, or perhaps even both? Have you been thrust into a very challenging and perhaps very stressful situation? Well, we're here to help. That's why we set up the firm. And my number one tip is for your parents to organise their lasting power of attorney. There's two types: finance and property and health and welfare. The finance and property will give you as carer the authority to manage their care fees, their day-to-day banking and savings, decisions around investments and pensions and the property. And the health and welfare one will give you the authority to manage their day-to-day living, medication, care provision, decisions even around life-sustaining treatment. And so it's really important as carer that you have the authority to help your parents, both now and also into the future. Not getting lasting power of attorney organised doesn't even bear thinking about. As carer, you would have to apply to the court for a deputyship order, which is incredibly expensive, very intrusive, has ongoing obligations. It takes forever, just at a time when you need to be helping your parents. So strongly recommend that your parents organise lasting power of attorney. Definitely, you don't just want a lasting power of attorney, you want their lasting power of attorney. So you want clear guidance, you want clarity as to what their preferences and instructions are. Really important to save any disputes or problems down the line. We're here to help people who are vulnerable, who are in later life. So we've set up the firm to have a very gentle, bespoke, face-to-face process. If your parents are having issues, we'll do our very best to accommodate that. We'll have meetings at different times of day. We'll have multiple meetings if needed, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's got a complete understanding of what's happening and what's going to happen in the future. If we have concerns around understanding or your parents have got memory issues, we've got a proper mental capacity process to make sure that everything is legally watertight and there's no problems with any disputes in the future. So all in all, it's really important to get those family conversations started as early as possible. We would usually facilitate that with a wider family to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And once everything's set up really with you as carer for your parents, that's really when you start having to be a financial advisor, a private client solicitor, a care navigator, and with a legal obligation as an attorney, that can be quite a stressful situation in itself. So strongly recommend that you take financial advice here, certainly around care fee planning. If your parents have a considerable amount of wealth, then there's a lot of choice and flexibility out there on how they pay their care fees. There's care fee solutions out there that can put caps on costs of care, that can be very tax efficient, that can make things very much better from an inheritance tax point of view down the line. From an investment point of view, as care needs change, so do investments. Portfolios, the investments that your parents took out a few years ago might not be appropriate now, so I would definitely take investment advice on that. From an inheritance tax point of view, we would have gone through the guidance that your parents' preferences were. That makes inheritance tax a lot easier to deal with as attorney. Pensions, there's been a lot of changes to pensions over the last year that's really turned later life advice around pensions on its head, so strongly recommend you take advice on that. And even on the care side of things, we have very close connections to the care providers in the local area, and we can marry up the cost of those different care provision to what your parents have in terms of their own wealth. So it's a very challenging and stressful time. We do appreciate that. That's why we've set up the firm as it is. If you are in that situation, definitely get in touch for an initial chat. We'll take you through what we think, where we can add value if we can. If not, we'll signpost you to different resources that can help. But yeah, we're here to help. Get in touch and we'll speak to you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.